That's entertainment. You know, when you're a great fighter, a great entertainer in general, you want the person to say, when do I see that person again? When's he gonna play again? When's he gonna fight again? You know, you gotta be able, if you can't put in seats, you're gonna get fired. You know.
Fight. And I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's gonna win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say. And it didn't take me going to camp to know this.
Okay.
So Israel Majimov says that if Terence Crawford bulks up, that's gonna be the biggest mistake he can possibly make. And that's gonna hinder him from being victorious against Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Mike Tyson, after training with Terence Crawford, emphasized the need to remain calm before a major fight with Canelo, explaining that while every fighter feels immense pressure on such a stage, the real test is mental, and if Crawford can keep his mind steady and not let the moment consume him, he can deliver his best performance and make victory appear far more achievable.
You know, fighters, pressure, right? Pressure's not being hit. You know, everybody think pressure's like getting on, staying on. Pressure's the thought of being hit. And that's how they fall. The thought is go, I'm not hitting that hard, but they think I am.
Right. So
It's all psychological.
Are you, when you're walking to the ring, are you noticing anything, or are you so locked in?
I see everything moving. Every person, every girl. I see every.
Dude, your walk-ins would last longer than the fights sometimes.
Do anyone have a napkin on my towels? Because I'm sweating like a pit with one hole up here.
You sweat.
We will get you one.
You sweat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're sweating like Charles Barkley at a spelling bee.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sweating pretty hard there too.
Exactly. So, Mike, we all know you hit hard. Who was the first person that when they hit you, you was like, oh, okay, this guy hits pretty hard?
Amir Khan, an experienced boxer who has faced Canelo Alvarez in the ring, recognizes the magnitude of a potential matchup between Canelo and Terence Crawford, acknowledging Canelo's greatness and vast experience, while also noting Crawford's genuine punching power. With Crawford moving up in weight and adjusting well to the division, Khan views him as stronger than ever, and believes this contest is far from one-sided since both fighters bring elite skills to the table. For Khan, it is more than just another fight, as it represents a clash of two exceptional talents where a single moment can decide the outcome. And while he respects Canelo's dominance at higher weights, he also warns that Crawford's adaptability and resilience make the result unpredictable.
He did that to Canelo after, so to your point, can Crawford do the same? Coming up from 54 and 47, can he, or will that, throw off the catch and shoot? I was gonna catch and shoot,
Make me think. I'm not catching and shooting.
We're catching it, resetting, and getting out of this range for a minute or two.
My fight with Arrow, I came back to the corner, I had a look on my face, I guess. And my dad said, what's wrong? I said, nothing. Like, classic Sean, nothing. He said, Sean, tell me what's wrong. I said, my legs are kind of tight. He said, your legs kind of tight. He looked back, looked behind him. He would always do this and look back at the other corner. I don't know why. He looked back at them.
It was a habit, probably.
He said, all right, we're not gonna use our legs so much this round. And I was thinking to myself, like, I need these legs.
I'm not trying to wear these shots.
Yeah, so, to your point, when there's a feeling, when
the nervous system goes out,
where does that adjustment take place? Do you trust the adjustment? Do you implement it? So that next round I did settle down a little more. I was
lost the round.
Whatever. Hell up.
I don't even know what round it is. Chill out.
I don't even know what round it is. Pour this water on you. So we got some time until this fight. So we ain't gotta pour it all out at one time. We'll work our way up to this one.
Try to get on big guests to lead up to the fight.
Expect some more very, very big guests, and expect some very, very big things from the Puerto Rico podcast the week of Crawford versus Canelo versus Crawford. Takes place here. What is that? September 6th?
13th. I was just gonna say, I've been critical of the fight because I felt like it serves as a foreground to the Ali Act stuff. And
analysts have raised concerns about Crawford's age and limited experience at higher weight classes, noting that by the time this fight happens, he will be 38. and naturally facing the effects of decline. Although he moved up to 154 pounds to face Israil Madrimov, many remain unconvinced that one fight proves he can handle someone as established at bigger divisions as Canelo. In boxing, age impacts speed, reflexes, and recovery, all of which are crucial against a relentless opponent. And while Crawford's skills are still sharp, his body may not respond the way it once did. Experts therefore see this as the biggest challenge of his career, testing him not only technically, but also physically and mentally because of the magnitude of the stakes and the caliber of his opponent.
Being successful, September 13th, Las Vegas, Nevada, Allegiant Stadium, when he takes on another first ballot Hall of Famer, 4-division world champion, 2-time undisputed world champion, and reigning undisputed super middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is 63 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout. Terence Crawford had one fight at 154. That was against Israil Madrimov, the WBA junior middleweight world champion, right? And since then, Terence Crawford has moved up now to 168 to challenge Canelo Alvarez, okay? And so prior to that, he spent 5 years at what? Welterweight. So the concern that people have for Terence Crawford, rightfully so, is that Terence Crawford will be 38 years of age 2 weeks after the fight. So he's 37, okay? Terence Crawford has one fight at 154. Prior to that, Terence Crawford has been competing, okay, since 2018 for the last 7 years at 147. Since June of 2018, he's been fighting at 147. His only fight outside of that division in the last 5 to 6 years was his fight against Israil Madrimov at 154, which he won, unanimous decision. I thought he handily won, but people thought that he struggled. Israil Madrimov is now 10 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 7 wins by way of knockout because he lost his last fight to Mexican superstar, WBC junior middleweight interim champion, Virgil Ortiz Jr.
For Crawford and his team have repeatedly stressed their preparation, making it clear that they are focused on avoiding the errors made by Jermell Charlo in his defeat to Canelo. Crawford maintains that he is not Charlo, pointing to his unique style, discipline, and ring intelligence as key differences. Their strategy is built on movement, accuracy, and smart pacing rather than relying solely on power, with the goal of frustrating Canelo through defense and exploiting counter opportunities. Training camp has been intense, featuring tough conditioning and sparring meant to replicate Canelo's strength and relentless pressure.
Team Crawford just revealed that they're currently working on making sure that the Omaha native doesn't end up like Jermell Charlo this coming September 13th when he faces Canelo Alvarez. Now this report comes from Boxing Scene, wherein it was just revealed by somebody from Crawford's camp that Terence Crawford is, quote, wary of repeating the mistake that former 154-pound champion Jermell Charlo made to a new weight limit without consideration of other factors. Boxing Scene further elaborated by saying that Crawford wants to retain his ability to fight with fluidity, maximizing the effectiveness of his power punches from both hands and ability to fight from a southpaw stance. With that said, Crawford's camp is now on full lockdown from the media or any sort of distraction up until fight week. Now, it's definitely worth considering that while it's
Analysts have highlighted the natural risks of moving up in weight, noting that speed and agility often decline as boxers enter heavier divisions, and recent photos of Terence Crawford appearing noticeably bulkier have fueled debate. While experts caution that images can be deceptive due to angles and lighting, the real concern is whether at his age and with added weight, he can maintain the quickness that has long been his greatest asset. Extra muscle may bring more power, but it can also reduce stamina and flexibility, raising questions about how effectively Crawford can balance these factors in the ring.
Because the man is simply human. I mean, the more you age and the more weight you gain, of course you're going to be slower. Now, that doesn't mean that he won't be an elite fighter anymore. No, of course not. When you talk about special fighters like Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, they can handle themselves against anyone on any given night in the worst circumstances possible. That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get back into the discussion when it comes to Terence Crawford carrying the 168 division when it comes to the 168 pound weight. So if you actually think about it, Terence Bud Crawford, how is the man looking right now? I know, yes, I know that we have seen the new pictures of Bud Crawford with him looking absolutely massive, but I actually talked about this in one of my previous videos, ladies and gentlemen, which you can go back and check out. Terence Bud Crawford, don't let these pictures fool you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let these pictures fool you. Yes, of course Terence Bud Crawford gained weight, but the pictures make it seem like Terence Bud Crawford looks like a heavyweight. Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, the lighting and the pump and the angle, everything plays a part in how you look in pictures. You know what I mean? Like, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. I can show you 2 pictures of me taken within 24 hours, and in one picture, my physique looks completely different than the other picture. One picture I can take after having a unbelievable workout, with a nice sweat on, with a nice pump, with some nice lighting, and a nice angle. I would look completely different than when I look right now, or getting out of bed, which I just did.
Abel Sanchez, a highly respected trainer in boxing, has downplayed Crawford's chances against Canelo, describing the fight as closer to a sparring session than a true contest, and arguing that Crawford is simply too small to handle Alvarez. He echoed the common belief that Canelo's natural size, strength, and experience at higher divisions provide him with a clear advantage. While acknowledging Crawford's talent, Sanchez emphasized that even greatness cannot always overcome the physical realities of the sport.
Quote, it will be a sparring session for Saul Canelo Alvarez. Coach Abel Sanchez dismissed Crawford's chance against Canelo, and it's really because of the weight gain. Renowned Mexican trainer Abel Sanchez has reignited the hype surrounding Canelo Crawford, scheduled September 13th, Las Vegas. Speaking to the ring, Gennady Golovkin, trainer, says, quote, Crawford is a great fighter, but that's why weight divisions exist. Canelo has proven that when he moves up, he faces and beats the best in each category. Neither Bivol could hurt him, nor could my fighter in 2 fights. And he's talking about Golovkin. And even though Canelo and Golovkin fought 3 times, Abel did not train him for the 3rd fight. It was Jonathan Banks. So that's why he said in the 2 fights that he's familiar with, he's saying that Golovkin never really hurt Canelo. The weight jump, the big disadvantage. Crawford, undefeated record. He's 41-0, 31 knockouts. Agreed to move up to 168, blah, blah, blah. And he says, quote, if Crawford had taken 3 or 4 years to gain strength and mass properly, he would have a better chance. But doing it in just over a year is too risky. He'll be slower and Canelo will dictate the pace. Now, this is a recent picture of Crawford, who definitely looks in shape. And, you know, that's what we come to expect from a guy like Crawford.
Chris Algieri offers a contrasting view by questioning the hype surrounding this fight, as while many fans and promoters have labeled it one of the biggest in boxing history, he disagrees, arguing that although it is exciting, it cannot be considered among the greatest. He believes it falls short when compared to legendary matchups where both fighters were in their prime and evenly matched, and he cautions that the public may be overstating the drama since Crawford is entering unfamiliar territory against a champion proven at higher weight divisions.
I love it because I have a lot of casuals who go to me and like, man, I can't wait for this fight. This is the best matchup that can be made. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's certainly not. Definitely not. Definitely not the best fight that can be made right now. I can think of a dozen fights that I would rather see. And a lot of them include Inoue against a bunch of different guys that I would rather see over this fight. But casual fans don't care that much about 122-pound guys who fight across the world in Japan. They care about big names and characters. But at the end of the day, when you look at this on paper, Crawford's 38, Canelo's 35. Neither looked very impressive in their last fight. They're still 3 weight classes apart. That has not changed, because, you know, and Crawford hasn't fought in a year plus. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of poo-pooing of this on paper. So I'm glad somebody says it. So thank you.
He didn't say his name. Yeah,
I like this guy. He came out there and just said his piece and left.
That's the type of guy that definitely calls in the WFAN here in New York. It's like, we need Boone fired. The Yankees suck. I don't look forward to anything. But,
what's up with that bullpen?
Yeah,
all right, I'm out of here.
I'm out. I'll hang up and listen. But yes, like you said, there are a bunch of fights you'd rather see. There are a bunch of fights I'd rather see both these guys in rather than the one we're getting. Like, I'd rather see.
That's a great way to put it too.
Yeah, Boots versus Crawford. I'd rather see Canelo versus Benavidez, Canelo versus Bivol, Canelo versus anyone at 168 of these top 5 there.
What about Virgil and Crawford? I like that fight. That got mentioned at one point.
Absolutely. I mean, but this is how boxing works. We'll all be excited on September 13th because it is a big event. We've talked about this numerous times on the show. We need big events, at least 1 or 2 of them a year, to stay relevant as a sport. It's on Netflix. We're all going to be excited that week heading into it. Maybe even that guy.
Hey, Dan and Chris. Love the show. This is Nero calling from Hollywood. I was wondering, with so many people taking Bud Crawford to win, I think at one point it felt like a hot take, and now it's becoming sort of a standard take. I hope this isn't too much of an abstract question, but can you think of another time where someone chose what seemed to be a hot take and then become the regular take? And what was the result of that fight? Personally, I think it's a bridge too far for Bud Crawford, and I think people are underestimating Canelo, but who knows?
Boxing analyst Showbiz the Adult points to the gap in the quality of opposition faced by both fighters, arguing that none of Crawford's past opponents could realistically compete with the A caliber of fighters Canelo has beaten. This comparison underscores the difference in their resumes, as Canelo has regularly faced and defeated champions across multiple divisions, while Crawford, though undefeated, has not fought the same level of established threats. Critics often accuse Canelo of avoiding the hardest challenges and picking easier opponents, but supporters counter that every fighter he has faced has been accomplished, and many were champions in their own right. When comparing records, it becomes clear that Canelo has had the tougher career path, consistently battling elite-level opposition across weight classes, whereas Crawford's flawless record lacks names of similar stature.
Name the fighters Crawford fought who would beat Triple G. That Spence that Crawford fought, that Kell Brook that Crawford fought, that Sean Porter that Crawford fought, would any of them beat Callum Smith at 168? I'm not sure how many fighters Crawford fought would beat the Miguel Cotto that Canelo fought. This is what I'm trying to say. When it comes to skill, experience has a lot to do with it. Case in point, you get an Austin Trout, you get a Caleb Plant, you get a Lara, you get a Floyd Mayweather, you get a Bivol. Just those 5, when it comes to experience, gives him the right experience that when he fights Crawford, he's not like, I don't know what this is like. There's not one fighter Crawford fought that would give him the experience against Canelo.
Reports and training footage show Crawford's intense commitment as he prepares for this challenge, with his regimen including strength work, hard sparring, and conditioning drills to boost stamina, while also testing different methods to handle heavier punches and longer exchanges expected against Canelo. His preparation extends beyond physical fitness to mental toughness, with his camp emphasizing discipline and composure. The central question remains whether he can cope with Canelo's relentless style, as while Crawford's defense and movement are excellent, Alvarez has built his reputation on patiently waiting for openings, and unlike Errol Spence, whom Crawford dominated, Canelo brings greater size, strength, and calculated patience.